Good evening and welcome to Prime of Midlife. It's Tuesday evening and this evening's video is how I used to live. It's actually the third attempt at a video this evening because I just wasn't feeling any of them, and as I was gradually wittering, I decided that this is where I'm going with this one. Now, I remember being a child, I remember the power cuts, not very well, but I remember the power cuts. I remember my dad had a Tilly lamp, which had this very, very fine, fragile thing on it. And I used to always mess it up. But it shone very brightly, so we used to get a lot of people into our house when the lights went out because Dad had paraffin lamps and he had the Tilly lamp, etc, etc. Mantle, that's what that thing was called, and I kept putting my finger through it. My father was not impressed with me at all. So we would have that. We were lucky we had a coal fire, so we had heat. But to give you an example, a typical day in winter for me, and this is without a power cut, would be I'd waken up in the house with ice on the inside of the window because we didn't have double glazing, we didn't have central heating. So what you would do is you'd make sure when you went to bed the night before, you'd make sure your clothes were beside the bed so you could scoot them into the blankies, snuggle into them for a wee while so they warmed up, and then you got dressed under the covers. And then you got up and you ran down the stairs. Sorry, I'm just checking the pressure canner. I've just canned some bolognese sauce. So then you'd run down the stairs and you would hope to heaven, in my case, I would hope to heaven that my father had banked up the coal fire because he could keep it going all night and all I had to do was pull the thing and the air would go through and it would fire up. If Mum had done it, if Dad was on night shift, not quite as guaranteed. So you were hoping that you could do that and you'd get some heat in the living room. Quick run through to the kitchen, kettle on, because yeah, I drank tea even as a small person. My dad was a tea Jenny, I'm a tea Jenny. Run through to the kitchen. My breakfast at that time was a jammy piece and a cup of tea. That was me, I was happy. And it was plain bread at the time. So jammy piece, cup of tea, back in front of the fire, sit there, have your breakfast, stick your nose out the window, out the curtains to see what the weather was like, to see what jacket you were putting on, because basically you didn't really have any other shoes. You had your school shoes, your school boots and your wellies, that was it. So was it shoes, was it boots, or was it wellies? So you'd go and see that and then off you would trot to school. Sometimes Mum or Dad would be up with me, sometimes not. As I got older, obviously not. It's fine, we've still got a while to go. So that was fine. I would come home and dinner would be, we could have spam chips and beans, we could have Scotch pie chips and beans, we could have mince and tatties, normally with peas or with turnip. Turnip was really good. You would have stew with mashed potatoes. It was like a meat and two veg. That's what we normally had because Dad had quite a hard job, so he had to have a decent meal. There was no supper, there was no anything. If it was offered, you took it, but due to the fact of we were relatively poor at that time, if there wasn't supper, that was normal. Our drinks throughout the week, as I say, I had my tea, I had milk when I was very young because Dad was very big on he came from a farming family, so it's very big on drink the milk, get your bones big and strong. I was like, okay. With regards to juice, we had diluting juice, 1 bottle per week. Thankfully I was an only child, so it wasn't too bad. On a Sunday, I would go up to the little shop at the top of the road and I would get the 3 rolls for Mum, Dad and I, and a packet of bacon. Well, actually slices of bacon because there wasn't as many packaged then. So I would get the slices of bacon and a bottle of Iron Brew. And that was our fizzy juice for the whole week. And that was, thankfully Dad didn't drink it, but Mum did. So Mum had hers and then I got mine, and then we'd sort of fight over the rest of it. And that was my life, and that was normal. Hairdressers, we didn't go to hairdressers. There was a woman across the road that was quite good at cutting hair, so we used to go to her. She would trim your hair. Unless, like my mother, she took a fit one day and decided to give me a Purdy cut. Look up Joanna Lumley, Purdy in the Avengers. Hair this length I think I had at the time, and Mum cut it up to there. I was not happy. She thought it looked fabulous, I thought it looked awful. So that was a bit of a shock to the system. But we didn't use hairdressers at the time. We didn't have a great choice of clothes. You know, you had your good clothes and you had your plain clothes. And that was it. You know, your plain clothes were, you know, a pair of jeans, maybe a pair of trackies and a couple of t-shirts, and that was it. And they just got revolved. You didn't particularly have a choice. I mean, I remember being so excited coming home one day, and Mum, she must have got her tip money because she worked in a hotel, and I had 2 new pairs of jeans. Oh my goodness, you'd have thought I had died and gone to heaven. I was so excited. Kids nowadays are getting that just as a matter of course. So expectations just now are very, very high. And I think in the next few months, people are going to come back to the way I lived as a kid, where certain things become treats. They're no longer just standard. Things like nails, hair, you know, the barbers, going to the movies, going out to eat. I mean, we went out once a year for Mum and Dad's wedding anniversary or someone's birthday if they went out for the anniversary themselves. I literally went out once a year to a restaurant. Nowadays, kids are expecting to eat out all the time, and it costs money. Now, I know sometimes it's cheaper than cooking at home, but not if you can batch cook. If you can batch cook, that makes a difference. But then again, once we get to the higher energy prices, are we going to be able to batch cook? So yeah, there's different things there of how I used to live. Yeah, I used to live in a much more frugal manner than I do now. But now I'm looking at the bits that I can get back to. I don't remember the last time I bought clothes, apart from when I got the underwear and such, so that I had it stashed. I don't remember the last time I bought clothes apart from that. So this is the time when you need to be looking while you still can. And then we need to start planning for a much more frugal lifestyle. So I need to go make lists. So I hope you enjoyed my little story of what it was like being a kid here in Scotland in the 70s. And I will go and leave you in peace now. But yeah, start your list of how you can live more frugally, because I think you're going to need it.